Howdy, Vikings. It's Kong here. Wanted to talk to you about standards. While we do talk about rifle standards and new member orientation, how our standard is a AR pattern rifle chambered in 5.56. One thing we don't really go into detail is barrel lengths, and it's not a good place for it at new member orientation. But I want to take a few minutes and talk about the ins and outs, some do's and don'ts of that. Years ago, we used to have a few of these things pop up, a little 7.5 inch barrel, and people would say, "Hey, great, my rifle's lightweight. I can hit targets 200 and 300 yards away." And it is light, and yes, accuracy 200 300 yards. You can hit a target at that distance, but what they're not understanding is terminal ballistics. The 5.56 cartridge does its job when it's traveling between 2,500 and 2,700 feet per second, depending on the exact bullet type. But bullets coming out of this travel around 1,700 feet per second, so about 1,000 feet per second shy of what that cartridge needs to do to work effectively. So it's the equivalent of having a 22 Magnum, except much louder and much more obnoxious. So what's the right choice for you? Again, depends on you, depends on the situation, and you know 16 inches are great. They could be bigger, heavier, more cumbersome. So let's start on the bottom end and work our way up. I've got here a 10.5 inch. Uh, these things have been around for quite some time. I think got a little bit more popular with the Mark 18 10.3. A lot of companies kind of went to these, readily available everywhere in that barrel length. But let's talk about terminal ballistics again. 2,500, 2,700 feet per second. The average 5.56 cartridge, give or take, what the bullet type is, the weights, design, leaves this thing around 2,700, 2,750 feet per second. So you've got a very short distance before it drops below that threshold, usually right around 100 yards or so. So, depending on what your situation is, 100 yards terminal ballistics may be perfectly fine. Can you hit 300 yards with that? Absolutely. I've done it plenty of times. Um, Effective hits on target, that's a little bit different story. So, 10.5 inch, it's lightweight, compact, it's a good little shooter. But what do you get just by stepping up to the next size up that is becoming a little bit more common? Your 11.5 inch. You'd be surprised. Just adding that one extra inch gives you about 150 feet per second more, which really gives you a little bit more reach. You're talking about 200 yards or so with the terminal ballistic effectiveness of that. Again, accurate past that. You hit them in the right spot, they're going down. But as far as your average hit shot on the torso, you're wanting to stay in that 2,500, 2,700 uh, feet per second range, and getting that extra little 1 inch helps you maintain that and goes a little bit further. Um, Keep in mind that if you add suppressors to these, you're going to add on average about a 3% muzzle velocity increase. A little bit, nothing terribly substantial. But one thing I do want to talk about these two is, the legal ramifications of these. You slap these on a pistol lower and perfectly fine. There are some caveats to that, and whether the ATF considers one thing a brace or not, or if braces are legal, if they're 1 year, they're not legal another year. That's constantly changing. So you'll need to stay on top of that. I'm not going to give guidance on that. You could register these short barrel rifles. The tax stamp has been dropped down to 0. Does that do some questionably constitutional things for us? I'm not going to get into that either. Either way, these are both registered as short barrel rifles. Let's go up to there are some others. The 13.5 is becoming a little bit of a thing. The 14.5's been around for a while. Also, depending on what you do, could fall in the category of pistol. But then let's get to the 16 inch. 16 inch is what you're buying off the store shelf. And with a cartridge like the M193, which is very standard 55 grain, you're traveling about 3,000 feet per second to 3,100 feet per second. That keeps you effective with your terminal ballistics out to about 550, 600 yards. Accurate out to that distance, you'll start to have drop of considerable size, about 400 and later on. But perfectly capable of doing that and still being effective. Um, Again, very common. Every store has them, very affordable, a little bit longer. And as you add accessories further on the end of the barrel, the rail or everything, it wears on you. So that is something to keep in mind. Building these things as light as you need them to be is crucial. So 16-inch, I think it's great length. I think it's what most of our people should be going for. If you wanted to try and stretch your legs a little bit, you could go as far as an 18-inch barrel. Uh, the terminal ballistics and velocity, really it's a velocity thing. 18 inches, your velocity kind of gets really good right there, a little bit better than 16. And then after that, you start to have some drop off on that. Velocity does not constantly increase with barrel length. You go to a 26, 28, 30-inch barrel, and at some point it'll stop gaining speed. And in some cases, it'll actually slow down in speed. Case in point, if I have a chance to put a picture up in here or here, I don't know, I'm still learning this. Some friends of mine made the old Joker gun from the 1989 Batman movie. You'll see it. It's a 28-inch 38 special, which would normally travel about 950 feet per second. By the time it left that long barrel and all that friction was there, it came at about 650 feet per second. So it dropped down by about 30%. So there is a window where you have to question, at what length am I still gaining a significant advantage? And 16 to 18 inch really seems to be the sweet spot. So again, it's what's right for you. You have to figure out what your role is. I'm not saying, um, you know, 10 and a half, 11 and a half. I've got various types. Each kind of suits a different role. So think about what your role is going to be. Talk to your people. And if you have any questions, of course, talk to your fire team lead or anybody at Viking Tactical. And we'll see you out at the range.